Yo, what's good with you? We're back for another episode of What's Good With You. I'm so happy to be back. Like, I don't think y'all know, like, I love doing this. No. Like, I really love doing this because these conversations are needed. And I got my guy, Chef Beanz. You know this famous director, Chef Beanz.
Oh, stop it.
Because he had, how many sold out shows did you have?
Just four out of four. But
four
who's
out
counting?
of four.
100%.
Who's counting, right?
Right. Like, amazing production, quality, everything was there. You know, I brought my friend with me and he'd never been to a play. He was just like, wow, this is really good. So just to give somebody that experience for the first time, and then it's Chef Beanz, my guy, it's his play. Like, what more could you ask for?
Oh, come on, y'all, chill out. Where the applause come from?
You know,
chill
give
out.
this man his flowers.
Chill
like,
out.
put some respect on his name, okay? Don't play my guy, Chef Beanz. But today we have Lawrence Carter in the building, the host of Larry Chats.
How are you?
And also the Uncle Neff podcast. Y'all
Yes, definitely.
All right, the Uncle Neff podcast. Now,
a bunch of things.
Doesn't this guy look familiar? I mean, if you're a real fan of What's Good With You, you would know that this is the first guest I ever had on the show.
Absolutely.
In 2020.
Only the real ones know.
Yeah, only the real ones know. And that's like literally one of the funniest episodes. It was called Boys Don't Cry. And your cousin was off the chain.
My uncle.
Your uncle. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I keep saying
Uncle Neff.
Yeah, Uncle Neff. Yeah, your uncle was off the chain. But
Yeah.
I get so many positive reviews from that episode. Like, people love that episode.
Because it's real.
Thank you for coming back.
Definitely.
I really appreciate that.
Thank y'all for
Season 2, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you for
Dang,
having me.
you must be really good if you back for another season, because I don't think anybody has been on here twice. I mean, more than Chef Beanz.
I'll take all of the accolades.
Yeah.
Okay. His flowers.
All right.
His flowers.
We celebrating black men over here. All right then. Well,
No. Before we transition, though, I think you're forgetting something. The What's Good With You podcast may be ranked top something. Am I
right?
Yes.
A little birdie told me. I could be wrong, but maybe you can help me out with that information.
So I got an email a couple days ago that What's Good With You is ranked in the top 35 black mental health podcasts.
That's amazing.
So, dang, like, that's crazy to me. Like, they were like, oh, our list of panelists chose your show to be, and actually we're number 24, so we're technically in the top 25.
Top 25.
You know
Talk heavy.
Beautiful.
Talk heavy.
Like, and that's crazy to me, because sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I'll be thinking like, dang, how long can I do this show? You know, like, how long should I do it? And then I see stuff like that, I'll be like, come on, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. Like, I got more things to talk about. It's endless stuff to talk about. So that really, you know, put things in perspective for me, because I just have to realize, like, it's bigger than me. You know, even if some days I don't feel like doing it or whatever, like, it's touching somebody.
Facts.
Somebody is getting help from this.
Yes.
Or somebody is more likely to go to therapy by listening to this. So I'm proud of everybody who has been a part of, you know, What's Good With You. But I mean, I'm proud of myself too.
That's what I'm saying. And we're proud of you. You know what I mean?
Congratulations, man. That's
International Women's History Month and all. Like, come on, talk heavy. Come on.
little Shirley Chisholm over here. Awesome.
Yeah, you know, I do my thing sometimes, you know, when I want to. But before we get into our topic, I just want to ask, like, how are you guys doing? Like, honest answers. Like, how are you guys doing this week?
Would you like me to go first?
Yeah, sure.
How am I doing this week? There's a lot of things that have been happening. My roommate, he moved back to Texas. On top of that, just still high off of another sold out weekend. About to take it to another city in June. A lot of things are moving, but I'd like to describe myself as calm, because I'm in a place of, I feel like I'm always receiving, but now those manifestations are starting to manifest. And it's kind of like, oh, I've been waiting for you. Oh, you too. Oh, is this thing just like flowing? So the calmness comes from me receiving things that have already been set here for me from God. And that's where I'm calm.
Beautiful.
I'm calm in receiving. What about you?
Facts. I'm just the opposite, actually. I'm, in a position where my future is becoming more evident. Like for my YouTube channel, I secured my first affiliate deal. So yeah, and then I talked to this guy. He's an agent. He was like, I can't like take you on and put you in these places. You got to build your portfolio. So I got like an acting thing that I have to start. I have to start classes. Then I'm gonna be understudy for this play. It's just a lot. So I'm like the opposite of calm because this is what I work for, but it being here is like, oh damn, I gotta get on everything.
Get to work, right?
Right, yeah. Extreme discipline season, extreme work season is here. So I'm just the opposite of calm, but I feel like with the work I'm putting in now, it's gonna pay off in 5-10 years,
right?
Or less.
Yeah, or less,
or
less.
Too.
I definitely understand you with that because I just launched my business, Kid Onyx, and I see the importance of self-discipline when you do have your own business. It's like, okay, Nia, you're not going to get anything out of this if you don't discipline yourself and put the work in to get that result.
Right.
And I don't know what I thought it was going to be. I don't know if I thought it was going to be easy or what, but now I'm seeing like, okay, the more I work, the more connections I make, the better it is for my business. So I'm in a state too where I'm like, all right, let's get it done, Nia. Like, let's do this, let's do this, let's do that. I have to remind myself to still do self-care though, because
absolutely.
I feel like sometimes I get so consumed in my projects, in my work, that I forget to take care of myself, and I end up being like cranky or anxious. And I had my first panic attack, y'all, and I didn't really tell a lot of people that, but it was just like I was so overwhelmed, and like I couldn't breathe. My chest was tight, and I couldn't calm down. Like I don't know what was going on. And you think I'm a therapist? I teach people how to calm down from panic attacks all the time, but I couldn't use it, and I was just like, all right, Nia, you need to prioritize some rest because clearly your body is saying this is too much. I'm overwhelmed. So that's why I had the panic attack. But I'm as I'm growing and learning, I'm starting to find the balance. But at first, when I first started the business, I was just like, I should always be working. I should always be working. Don't sleep. Those toxic things.
Raw culture.
Right. But I'm figuring it out, and I love Kid Onyx, and I love I could see what it's going to become, and I just know that I have to be disciplined, put in that work, and it's gonna come. Like it's gonna come. So
absolutely, success is a matter of time.
Right? Yeah, definitely. So today, I don't think y'all ready for this. Y'all not really ready for this episode because, like, the internet, social media, like y'all take one clip of a podcast and it goes viral, and I'm like, why are we glorifying this BS? Like, I'll be getting really mad because I'm like, these are people just on here talking with no facts, no data, no expertise. They're literally just talking about their own experience, and it has me fired up.
And painting that for everybody.
It has me fired up. Yeah. And the overall discussion is like, why aren't black women and black men on the same page? Because I'm all for unity.
We getting juicy today.
I'm all for unity, but I feel like we're not unified. As a whole, I don't feel like we're unified. I feel like we attack each other. We have these different stereotypes about each other, and I'm just like, why though? And I think when I first started this podcast, I was like, I could be a bitter woman or a bitter ex and be like, all niggas is this, all niggas cheat, all niggas. Or I could try to understand, well, maybe I'm not seeing something. Maybe I don't know what's going on in their head and what they've been through. So let me try to understand.
Some empathy.
Having some empathy and try to understand from an objective point of view, okay, what are y'all going through that makes y'all this way? Instead of just labeling all of y'all the same way. You get what I'm saying? And that's when the concept of What's Good With You came from. I said, I want a man to be there to give his perspective, so I'm not making assumptions.
So what do you mean though? What make like clarify that?
Wait.
What makes y'all the way y'all are? How are we? Like,
So we're gonna get into the different aspects.
How are we? I'm interested.
But I'm not gonna sit here and say that all black men are the same, because I know that y'all are not.
Of course, yeah.
But I can speak to my experience in dating, and I've had a lot of difficulty with the emotional, not even emotional intelligence, but emotional availability of men, and interpreting their lack of that as they don't like me or they don't want to be with me, right? Without understanding where that comes from.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Facts, yeah.
So before I get into,
I'm starting to shake.
Right. Before I get into the specific topics, do you guys feel that black women and black men are on the same page?
Absolutely not.
Talk about it.
Yeah, but why?
Absolutely
why do you think
not.
that we're not on the same page?
I think our black it seems global because I have Clubhouse and I have friends in Nigeria and the UK. They say kind of the same thing, but I feel like anytime there's a movement for equality, like social equality, I've seen a conversation or a podcast saying, women should be able to not have their shirts on just like men should be, because that's equality essentially. And although I don't disagree with the premise of that argument, any change is you're gonna have conflict. You know what I'm saying? Anytime, okay, let's get women to work because women need to be independent. You're gonna have a lot of guys. It's a bucket of guys that's like, nah, stay in the house. Like I want you in the house. There's another bucket of guys that's like, that's cool. I don't care as long as as long as you're not mean to me, we can both be working. Mm-hmm. So it's a bunch of different opinions and a bunch of conflated situations that kind of go into one general statement. Like women should probably, work so they have something by themselves and they don't have to depend on men. And that situation comes with a bunch of people's influence and, independent perspectives, and it just kind of jumbles it up. So women have made significant strides, I think, socially in the last 10, 15 years. And there's going to be some problems. Like, we're going to have to figure some things out. We're going to have to figure out whatever sexual liberation is and, figure that out amongst women are going to have to do that for themselves, but also with us, because, if you're heterosexual, obviously we're the ones that you come to. So I think it's just, we're not on the same page just because things are changing. You know what I'm saying? It's a different world we're going into.
Okay.
Right.
Go ahead, Beanz, because I got something to say, but
I think that it varies when it comes to black men and black women not being on the same page. I think it all comes down to the media and what the media chooses to portray. Mm-hmm. Because if you're only highlighting the demise of compatibility between a certain race and on another race, you're glorifying every kiss begins with K, and you're only using white couples or other couples. I think that's what the perception is going to be. That's the broad scope of things. But to get more specific, I think everything is situational, but based off of the conversations that we're having in a larger scale, I think us not being on the same page comes from us not knowing how to communicate with each other, which starts in the household. Right. Because a lot of times we're only emulating what we saw in the household based off of how we saw our mom or our dad communicate, or just what we're used to. Right. So when we try to apply those same things, if someone's not on the same page emotionally, they're not even going to register the things that you're saying. So if you're telling a black man, I need you to soften up, but he's been taught his whole life that hardness and not saying things is strength, is going to be another language to him. Right. So I think that's one aspect. Or if you're telling let's just say a black woman, I'm trying to do this for you, I'm trying to do that for you, but her mother told you, you don't need no nigga for nothing, you can do everything yourself, then that's where they're going to clash. Mm-hmm. So some men don't know how to take care of themselves independently. Some women don't know how to take care of themselves independently. So when y'all try to coexist, it's usually clashing because they're using their household childhood experience versus yours, and if they don't mesh, and that's why we have conversations like this today.
Right.
I want to ask you a question though. Do you feel? I guess I want to ask. Do you feel as if these are specific for both of you guys? Do you feel like these problems are specific to us? Because I feel like this is just a large subsect of what's going on culturally. This is Everybody.
What do you mean? Do I feel like just black people?
Yeah, because like there's in music, in like pop music, country music, it's women being like, I don't need you, I'm independent. Like I think that's kind of the culture, and then what we see is what we have proximity to. Obviously, black folks, because we black.
But I feel like in the black community, it's more amplified and more public rather than in other cultures, because when you think about kind of like what Beanz was saying when he was talking about you want your husband or your boyfriend to be soft, but he's been taught his whole life that you can't show that because that's weakness. You get what I'm saying? And the same thing like for black women, like still black women are the least likely to get married statistically, right?
Yeah.
So growing up, the image isn't, oh, you're gonna grow up and find a husband and have kids. That's the American thing that they push on us, or what is it, like the Disneyland thing? What do you be saying? The princess,
the Disney theory or Disney trauma.
Disney trauma, right? That's the Disney trauma, the American thing that they glamorize. But for a black woman, it's like, no, you need to learn how to be independent and take care of yourself, because you might not ever get married, and you need to learn how to do this. Like even my mom will tell me, like, yeah, you need to learn how to fix your car. You need to learn how to. You're not gonna always have your daddy. You're not gonna always have a man around to do X, Y, and Z. It's like hyper independence.
Do you disagree?
Do I disagree what?
With that? Like, do you disagree that you should learn things? Like, because, there's different perspectives.
I don't disagree. I think it's beneficial that we learn them.
Right.
But it's everybody internalizes that in a different way. Because even I find myself sometimes, like, if a dude makes me mad or doesn't, have the money to do something, like, I'll be thinking, like, I don't need that nigga, no way. I got money on my own. Like, it's like I'm quicker to give up on something rather than to see it through because I'm thinking about money. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because I've been taught my whole life, I could get it on my own. Like, I know how to do this by myself. I take care of myself. I have my own apartment, blah, blah, blah. So if a man is not giving me what I want financially, okay, bye. Like, not saying I do that all the time, but that's kind of like the first thought that comes to my mind. Like, I don't need a nigga.
And you know what? I think what is like the biggest issue is whenever we have conversations like this, currently America is in the worst point of inequality, income inequality it's ever been, like historically ever. And there's a graph. It's like the center of, basically it's a graph ranking all developed countries by income inequality. There's 35 on the list. We're number 33. So we're doing terrible with income inequality, and this is compared to all developed nations. So everybody in America is feeling pressure. You know what I'm saying? We see the articles. People are like, people are one paycheck away from being homeless. Like everybody in America is feeling the pressure of, like just income. Right. So being a man, particularly being a black man, where other areas of your life, we can't just walk into a space and fit in, and so there's the factor of being, in a sense, insecure about your position in society, and then on top of that you have to deal with income inequality, and you have to deal with feeling insecure about your income because you feel like you're not working hard enough when that's not the case. It's a structural issue. But both of those combined, any black man having this conversation is essentially at a disadvantage, because now I have to deal with not only being an adult, not only being a person and learning emotional intelligence and all these things, but now I have to overcome structural issues. And now on top of that, a woman that's might have already overcome structural issues in that area, she's doing well for herself, and now I feel like she's emasculating me because I'm not doing the same thing. I'm not in the same position. And so I feel like that point, like pushing on that insecurity, and a lot of women are very good at it. Broke niggas don't deserve nothing. Like a lot of women are very good at it, and that's an insecurity that men have. And so men retaliate like children. Like, we just lash out. Like, what's the worst thing I could say to just bring you to your knees right now? Talk about how she's a single mother. You talk about how she's, just terrible things,
Right.
You
don't be saying those things. That's why you can't come up with it, right?
No, I'll never say that.
Okay, great.
I'll never say that.
Great. But yeah,
but it's insecurity.
That's the thing that I wanted to point out too, because I feel like a lot of women, black women, we go in on black men for like how they say they don't date dark skinned women, but women, we gotta take some accountability too. Like, I'm gonna play the devil's advocate. I hear what he's saying, like, because I have friends that will say, like, oh, he a broke nigga, like, leave that nigga alone. Yeah. You need to be the one with the Benz or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna take some accountability. I'm gonna take some of the shots today. You know what I'm saying? Because it happens. It's out there. And even one of the other stereotypes that I see, and it was kind of like in that video that you're in with the Jubilee. Okay. They were talking about how, like, being emotional is like being soft, right? Or associated with being homosexual, or, you know. And I was thinking about that. Like, I had to retrain my mind to not think that way, because I think growing up, it was like my dad will only cry like if somebody was like, if we was at a funeral and somebody's getting buried, you know what I'm saying? Damn. But other than that, I didn't really see him emotional like that. Maybe now he's better, but growing up, it was like everybody tough and hard, you know, got hair on their chest, you know, like they don't really show that emotion. So when I got older, and like, I think it was like a dude cried in front of me or something, I was just like,
So check this out, right? When I think about things like that, though, as far as boys don't cry and different things like that, the environment that I grew up in, that was armor to me. That was armor, because had I had cried in certain situations, I probably would have had to fight all the time, or had to worry about people bullying me and things like that. So the same thing that we have to unlearn sometimes is the same thing that protected us in our upbringing. Right. So as an adult, I think it's more about what we have the strength or the awareness to unlearn that'll help set us all up for success. Yeah. Because now if a situation happens and I had a son and he cried, I'm not going to say, suck it up or I'll punch you in the chest. Like, I was threatened physically if I was to cry growing up. Yeah. Like, if you cry, I might hurt you or whatever. From like, yeah, exactly. Right. Keep crying, or I'm gonna give you something to cry about. That's one of the main things that a lot of people heard growing up. So what we had to do,
suck it up.
Get that bottom lip.
Yeah, exactly, suck it up. But now, I mean, it impacts a lot of people. I'm a lot better at expressing how I feel, whether that's audibly or even what I tweeted recently. Sometimes the best response is no response. That doesn't mean I don't feel what I feel. That doesn't mean I haven't taken time to acknowledge and dismiss how I feel. Because in situations when it comes to compatibility, black man, black woman, people hold things in out of fear that things might explode. Right. I'll much rather not say something because I want to avoid conflict, as opposed to getting to the root of, this is how I feel. This is why I feel this way. Right. How can we move forward? But a lot of people aren't even at that place where they can communicate that, because they've been taught to respond to things with violence, respond to things with insults, respond to things with explosions, everything. And I guess, like, not necessarily in closing, but what I'm saying right now, I learned maybe about a year or two ago, it was the first time I stopped dealing with a woman that didn't end with an explosion. It didn't end with a person cheating or different things like that. It was more so like, this isn't working. You know, we tried this, we tried that. This isn't working. It's okay for us to agree to disagree and go separate ways.
Amicably. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, look, I remember you said your roommate just moved out, right?
Yeah.
In the beginning. My roommate just moved out too. Worst roommate I've ever had in my entire life. But that's a different story. It was a girl that I knew. So it was technically, I don't know if this is my cousin or my aunt. My uncle got married 5 years ago, and her sister is who was my roommate. So I don't know if that's my aunt or technically my cousin.
Kinfolk.
It don't matter. But yeah, so she was like, oh, I need a place. I was like, man, the homie just moved out to Washington with his girl. I was just gonna stay, the duration of my lease by myself, but fuck it, come on, like, might as well. I'll do cheaper rent, cool. So she moved in, and with her, like, kind of just being her, I knew that there was a stark difference in how women that are, in how people, environments kind of shape them, right? Like she was the same way. She never seen her dad cry. She never had conversations with her brother that were like this.
Emotional.
Anything healthy, below surface level. Right, like, it was real surface level. So, like, meeting meeting me, and then she didn't know. She was like, "Are you gay, or do you want to? Are you white? Like, what is it? What is your deal? Like, what is your situation?" And I feel like that's why I'm not, ragging on her or nothing, but that's why everybody needs therapy, because we all come, especially with regard to relations,
right?
We all because come that with
prevents
baggage,
those things prevent us from having healthy, intimate relationships.
We can't even see the other person,
right? Exactly.
Like, you just like Derek,
exactly. And it's like if you're teaching children that their feelings don't matter, why would they verbalize their feelings in the relationship? They're already subconsciously thinking, oh, my feelings don't matter, so I shouldn't say anything. Or if I say my feelings, I'm going to get ridiculed, so I shouldn't say anything.
If you say something, I'm going to give you something to cry for.
Right, exactly. Like, if you teach those things growing up, and I get that sometimes they are for survival, but I think as we grow older, we realize this is not one of those moments. You know what I'm saying? This is not a survival moment. Like, I need to be able to verbalize what it is that I'm feeling so we can get to the root of it. And I feel like that was my conflict that I had with black men a lot, just in relationships. It's like, tell me what's going on. What's going on?
Oh, and communication is
right, but they just kind of would like freeze up or shut down, and it's like, I don't like that. And I'm a therapist, so I'm like, well, I want to know everything, Sometimes I do that, but sometimes I have to realize, like, Nia, this is not because of you. This is their own thing that they got going on, and they're not ready to talk about it. So you trying to force them is not going to help the situation.
Right.
If they're not ready to talk about it, they're not going to talk about it. But
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
For both of you guys.
Okay.
So I want to ask you first, though. Do you feel like, I'm going to tell you what I think after. Do you feel like black men are like naturally, like no matter what age, no matter what, do you think black men are naturally more conservative? Like, and not politically. I just mean like how we think, like how we operate. Like more things should be as they are, more let's move some shit around, stuff around.
I think it's subjective. Like, it varies. I know for myself, I used to be a lot more open. I've learned to be more conservative because out of protection. I know like moving out here, because I'm from Jersey, moving out here, that's when I was introduced to a lot of this spiritual language. Oh my God, just be open, free flow, where's your moon rising, whatever people be saying. I don't know. But I feel like I came out here pretty like open, like, oh my God, just giving people the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
After seeing how people can respond to a free flowing, just gregarious person, it can be taken advantage of. So now I pick and choose what I want to share with like the world and people closest to me. That's when I feel like I'm more of an open book. But it's all back to like protection, what you were saying, us trying to figure out the world as a black man, then figure out finances, and then figure out these emotions that we've never been taught. In some households, you weren't introduced to credit until you were already in college or after college. Like, credit, what's this? I've heard about it. How am I supposed to do it? Stocks, what's all that?
Right.
I'm trying to, and you feel like you're playing catch up just as a man / black man. And then once you feel like something's on your back, like, come on, talk to me right now. I want to. Sometimes you don't even know how to respond to that because you're like, I'm trying to figure out all of this.
Right.
Am I behind? So that's just me specifically, but I think it varies per person / black man.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to tell you what I think after, but I want to hear what you think. More conservative naturally?
I think I won't say naturally, but I'll just say like culturally. Like, yeah, they're more conservative until something is trending. So right now, mental health is kind of trendy, right? So a lot of black men are being more open. But when I was at Hampton in 2013, 2014, nobody talking about their feelings.
Right.
Nobody was talking about mental health. Like, people were like, oh, you want to be a therapist? Like, oh, okay. Like, it wasn't popular to do that. So I think that and I won't even say black men, I'll say black people. Like, we all kind of like stick to the same way until something is like kind of trending. And then we want to, oh, maybe that is wrong, like then we start to think. But yeah, I would say yeah.
You think so?
Yeah.
So here's my idea. And I mean, this is just my opinion, even though I feel it's backed by empirical evidence. I think with the jobs that a lot of black men take, like our participation in the labor force is mainly like, really like solid like county jobs, state jobs, typically blue collar. If you exclude the last like 15 years. But that's kind of the trend that we operate in. I feel like naturally we're more conservative, and the job we take is like one marker of that. But I think another marker of that is how we operate. Like a lot of black men that I know still believe like man should be head of household, man should make all the money, man should, like just a traditional or a more conservative mindset, as opposed to like the few that are like, I don't mind. And I'm not saying one is wrong or the other. I'm just saying I see more of the conservatism rather than the like more free flowing, like you were saying. I know more men that are like, I need to be earning all the money, I need to be making all the decisions. More men like that than there are of black men that are like, I don't care how much my wife makes. Like, we could make things work that's not necessarily traditional. Yeah. And I feel like that could be a problem because as times change, as the world changes around us, if we're not changing with it, like black women have essentially amalgamated some way to like keep themselves up while still also being down. So like black women are entrepreneurs while also having jobs and having a bunch of degrees. Right. We're not doing that because we're hanging on to like the traditional conservative way of living. And I think that's contributing a little bit to our disadvantage because I know a lot of us aren't willing to get in tech. Like I don't know nothing about no computers. I know that, like my uncles, my dad, and I think that is essentially what's holding us back. I want to say what's holding us back. That is contributing to maybe not a factor.
It's a factor.
One factor
holding you back,
especially in relationships. Right. Because with the world changing, we still like you need to stay home.
Right. And I have a follow up question on that because there's been a viral clip.
Oh boy.
Of this podcast. I don't know who these people are or what they do for a living, but they said that it's unattractive for a woman to be a go-getter or to make more money than them. Yeah, as I said. Found it unattractive. Now, my question to y'all is, do you think that's rooted in insecurity, or is it with the assumption that, if she makes more money than me, then she's going to throw it in my face?
I think they're both the same thing. It's all attached to insecurity. Because if a person is fearful that their partner is ambitious, then why are you even trying to be attracted to that type of person? Like, I don't know. Like, people don't want, some people, I'm going to use this loosely. Some people don't want their partner to outshine them because their ego is fragile and they feel as though the world would perceive them as weak. So when I hear anecdotes like that, like people saying shit like that, I'm kind of like, you're speaking from a weak perspective. You're operating out of lack. You're operating out of feeling like a person should compliment you as opposed to like amplify everything else that y'all both have going on. Is giving lack of reciprocity. You know what I mean? Like to really like come at a person. So when people are speaking like that, they're just, like I said, just spilling out the insecurities and their lack of strong ego.
You good?
The lack of a strong ego that they have. But I don't pay shit like that no mind because it's kind of like there's nothing for us to really talk about. Like we could talk about it, but if you're just saying if a woman was to do this, it would make me feel this type of way, it would make me feel less of a man, then that has less to do with the woman and more to do with you. It has literally nothing to do with the woman. If a person was to do this, then I would do that. Or it's like, nah, you're weak, and maybe what I was about to say. Nah, I'm not.
No, go ahead. No.
Air it out.
Did not say we're gonna ruffle some feathers today.
I'm gonna just say it because
it's gonna be a Twitter clip,
right? Say what you
mean. Okay, whatever, right? Some dudes who feel as though a woman's role should only be like quiet, docile, whatever. When I come around, don't make me feel this type of way, blah, 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 blah. You have all these different rules for women and no rules for men. Then maybe you enjoy more time being around men than you do with women. So maybe you should just 100% lean into that. Lean into where you most comfortable at.
I mean,
that's basically how I'm coming.
Dog will holler. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
See, I feel like I don't at all disagree with you.
Right.
I don't, and I feel like maybe that's the majority of people that have an issue with maybe that's the majority of men that have an issue with women making more than them. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's true. Maybe they're insecure, and all these things. But I will say, I have personally met women specifically that make like a lot of money, and then now it's formed a chip on their shoulder. Like now it's formed like I know I'm better than these niggas. Like it's like a perpetual, I got my nose up at you type thing, and I see it. I see it's real.
I've seen that they talk about it.
Yeah, no, I won't. I do think
because that was just one perspective, but I like where you're going.
Yeah, I do think there are the majority of men that are just insecure. Like, dog, if your girl's a dentist and you you make good money, but a plumber, like it's more. But who cares? Like you both are good, you both solid, you both independent. Exactly. But okay, that's the majority of them, but there are them women who like, oh, I'm better than you. Black men are, beneath. I've heard a woman say, I am the prize. If a black man would date me, I don't have to do anything. I don't have to contribute anything. I'm the prize, and he should be happy to be with me. That was the nuttiest thing I've ever heard any human being say in my life.
I've heard that too, and I think on both sides, from black men, black women, or men and women, but where. You can't categorize all high-paying women as people who are going to respond that way.
Right.
And that's where the issue comes from when people categorize. I have some people who I know who say, I don't date black women because they have attitudes. And it's like bullshit.
Hold on. We gonna get into that. Hold on. Wait, that's the next question. Okay. That's the next question.
I'm chill.
It seems like you're ready for the next question.
So we ready?
We gonna get into that.
Let's cook them.
I mean, interracial dating.
Okay.
This is a common thing that causes conflict within the black men and women because it seems like more black men are okay with interracial dating and more black women are like against it, right? That's just my observation. Right? Beanz, hold on. Right. So I'm going to read this thing that Lawrence has first before we get into this conversation.
Okay.
This is terrible.
So, Lawrence, you went viral.
Yeah, I went viral. Hooray!
With a nice a nice Caucasian young woman was standing next to you in this photo. Uh-huh. And somebody took this photo, and his name is Michael Benson. I'm going to read what he says.
Oh, please do.
Okay.
Please do.
So it says, look how happy black men are with non-black queens. Every other race of women treat good black kings like kings. This is why it's great to date beautiful women that's non-black. I love white queens. Good black men that's worth a damn, please get you one. You'll be much happier in life. Every good bro would love to come home to beautiful feminine energy, bro. Believe me, I know. And it has this great picture. I'm gonna have to put this picture in the the edit because like you look pretty happy next to a girl. I'm not gonna lie.
All right, so here's what happened.
I'm not gonna lie, but
that is a group photo.
Okay.
I am in a group on Facebook called Jet Black Travel Group, and there's like thousands of people in there. So whenever I travel,
I'm familiar with them.
Yeah. So whenever I travel, I put my pictures and videos in there, and then people share it, like whatever, like people share it, people like it, and they comment or whatever. Oh, where did you get this? And he was one of the people that is in the group.
Oh, the dude who did that?
Yeah, my man's took it upon himself to snatch my picture off the internet.
So you know that guy?
No. I mean, I know he's in the group because I went to his profile.
But you don't know him. Okay.
Yeah, I don't. I've never met this man. So I messaged him. I was like, "Hey, bro, can you take my picture down? Like that's not my girlfriend. That's not even like that's my friend." He blocked me. And he and deleted my comment that I made on the picture that went viral. This had like 550,000 shares. It was a whole bunch of black women just beating my ass in the comments. He looked like he hated himself.
Right? Yeah, I was like, what were they saying?
Anyway, we ain't losing nothing. Somebody called me fat. I was like, damn, like, y'all was really coming.
Y'all
for
going
your
for
boy.
the jugular, like,
and
damn.
it was off. Like all of this is 100% fake. Like, and I put this on my Instagram story, and I tagged her, and she made a video. She was like, well, damn, if we've been together all this time, I need some back pay. You got to take me on buy me some food or something.
Right.
Oh my God.
So yeah, no, this is all fake. But I mean, yeah, people like this, they'll paint a whole narrative just from a random picture on the internet. Like, we don't even live in the same state, just a random picture on the internet.
Wow.
And they'll paint a whole scenario and have black women
People
just
are
killing you in
weird.
the comments.
Yeah, that part is weird, but I want to talk about what he's saying in here. That you'll be much happier and you'll have this feminine energy. Because you mentioned earlier about like the stereotype that black women have attitude. So I guess let me scale it back a little bit. What are your thoughts on interracial dating? I'm gonna ask you first and then Beanz, because I know Beanz gonna.
Ironically, I don't have a problem with interracial dating. Like, I promise none of this was my idea. Like, none of this post was my. But no, I don't have a. I mean, you know what makes me mad is when we pretend like everybody has an opposite. Even by the numbers, there's 3 million more marriageable black women in America than there are men. So the numbers are not even. It can't be one for one. And also, everybody's not straight. So that's out the window too. But a lot of the time, the people that have an issue with like interracial dating, where are some of these guys going to go? Now, it is men that date out more, quote unquote, that marry out more. It's like 17% or something, because most of us marry each other. But for those 17%, the Childish Gambinos, the Jordan Peels, where are they going to go? There are not a lot of black women, and Childish Gambino especially, because I've been following him since 2012. Childish Gambino especially, there was not a lot of pool of black women for Childish Gambino. You know what I'm saying? We like to think that for every one black person is the other black person, but sometimes it don't work out like that. We people. You know what I'm saying? As long as you still contributing to the community, and as long as you still being like a solid, a solid.
So you're looking at it from a like statistical, like number standpoint.
Yeah,
like
y'all gonna have to date out unless y'all gonna do polyamory or polygamy. But we know that's not happening. So y'all gonna
all
have to
right.
do
So
something.
I get the numbers perspective. Beanz,
Yeah.
what's your perspective on that?
So my perspective used to be like when I lacked the, I guess, knowledge of the statistics was, I think every black man should be with a black woman and vice versa. But my mentor told me maybe in like 2017, 2018, as a black woman, I don't know if she has someone now, but she was like, black women outnumber black men, number one. Number two, you got to think about the black dudes who don't like black women. Then the black dudes who are incarcerated, the black dudes who are on the low, the black dudes who gay, all that. And then you left with this small percentage of
very small percentage
black men who may be solid. So she was like, she's open to wherever love comes from. And I'm like, you know what? I don't knock you for that. Because if you've been taught that you only got to be with a black man, if you've just been striking out for whatever reason, I don't know. I think you should find love where you should find love. That's my perception. Like, I'm not going to knock somebody. My thing is, don't say that you don't date black men because black men ain't shit. Don't say you don't date black women because black women wear weave or black women nails are too long or different things like that. I've heard both sides of it. I think that's where the issue comes from. Just say, blah, 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 we met. I don't care what anybody. This is what I want.
That's facts.
I'm cool with that. It's just everything that comes outside of that because being a black man, I have Spanish people in my family. I have, you know what I mean? So that's just my take on it. I don't really... And I don't be in a lot of people's business. It doesn't make me mad if I see a black man with a white woman or a white man with I don't feel anger. Like, it's just kind of like, that's their business.
Yeah, can't be me, but hey, bro, if you
I think I'm in conflict with my perspective.
Talk about it.
Because on one end, it's like, I'm not gonna say I don't have a problem. I got a problem. Like I'm not gonna just sit up here and be like, oh, it's okay. Like it's great. Date who you want to date. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Like I do sometimes have a problem, but I recognize where that problem stems from.
So what's the problem?
Right.
Okay.
So the problem is, I think, along with other women, but I'm gonna just talk about myself. I think that when I see a black man with a white woman, I assume that he doesn't like black women.
And you know,
that's why. Hold on.
Okay, go ahead.
That's why. That's why I get mad, because I'm thinking, oh, he had a choice between a white woman and a black woman. He chose a white woman. So I feel like you're choosing them over us, which may not be the case, but I'm just saying what I think when I see these things. Right. And I don't like when men, like, it's one thing to state your preference, but it's another thing to bash black women in order to make a point about your preference.
Yeah. Right.
You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, if your preference is Latino women or white women, okay, say that. But don't say, oh, no, I don't date black girls because they're this, and they're this, and they're that. And it's like, well, what do we have to do with this conversation? You don't like us, right? So why are you bringing us into the conversation?
Right.
That's the stuff that pisses me off. And yeah, but Beanz, go ahead. What was you gonna say? Because you felt like
I think you just brought something up in me that I was thinking about before. We all have our different privileges based on how we decide to look at it. That is low key like black male privilege. To be a heterosexual black man, I think there's a privilege in that because black women outnumber us so much. Oh, yeah. And, you know, so I think a lot of black males' perspective, which we're taught, is we have options.
Yeah, you got
especially
time.
When we have social media, everything like that. Right. We have options. Who wouldn't want me? I'm a black man. You know what I mean? I have this, time. That. I got that going on. I got time. Blah, blah, blah. And black men can have kids up until whatever. You have to get into, you know, women. They have, you know, I think it's biological clock or certain things. I don't know the exact
biological clock's ticking.
Yeah, like it's things. It's certain pressures like that. If they do want to have a child or things like that, and want to be with a black man, and want to make sure that with all these different things. So I'm factoring in that as well. So when my mentor told me that, I'm kind of like, cool. I don't know if I necessarily can say that I relate though, because I do at that moment. I do feel like there's a bunch of great black women entrepreneurs doing all different things. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, if she's solid, I'm solid, then we'll be solid. But factoring in, like you were saying, like, then there's a lot of, like I said, dudes on the low too that people like gotta. I'm like, look,
I ain't gonna go into that, but go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
No, that's all I was gonna say. So I was saying, like, the empathy aspect kicked in when she said that, but also when you just went into detail, I was thinking like, that's black male privilege.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you said what, they outnumber us by 3 million?
Yeah, 3 million. And that obviously the effects of like mass incarceration, like there's factors that but yeah, it's 3 million.
Yeah.
And I want to be fair, right? I want to acknowledge, like, there are hella guys that I know, hella black men that I know that are like, oh, I don't like black women. Like, I just, you know, they be arguing with me. They be, you know, that's ridiculous to me, because you can't take the experiences that you've had with a few and then categorize the entire group.
Right. Or your relationship with your mom.
Exactly.
Because it's not always just their romantic dating experiences. Right. Sometimes it's a perception of how they feel about their mom or their aunts or their grandmoms or their family that they came from. My family's always arguing. Yeah. My imagination tells me if I was with a lighter skinned person or white person, the family cookouts wouldn't be like this.
See, and you know, those guys are prominent. Like, I know that there are a lot of them. I still think they're the minority, but I know that there are a lot of them. Let's say 30%. I also know that there are a lot of women that are essentially the exact same way. One time I had a woman. I remember I had a woman. First of all, a woman. She said I was white because what did I do? It was like something. I was like, what?
Put some marmalade on your toast or something?
Nah, it wasn't even. I remember it was so. I was like, this isn't even white. This is just like a regular. I forgot what it was. I think I don't know.
But
she said, okay, you white, like you a white black man or whatever. And then after that, the said same girl, I got involved with.
Hey, and got them names.
And all right, so this was like early, high school, right? And I asked her, "Can I kiss you?" And she, you know what she said?
What'd she say?
She asked me. She said, "Why are you asking?" in the age of like, you know, and this is scary at the time because like Me Too and all that.
Right.
We supposed to learn, you know, consent. We supposed to learn all these things, and then so I will say that there are a lot of guys that are fumbling, like dirty in the waters, muddy in the waters, and there are a lot of girls that are dirty and muddy in the waters.
Yeah.
A lot of the times when these conversations are had, especially with black men, like I don't like dark skinned women or whatever. I feel like that's so easy to tell apart from the guys that are normal. I don't have any sympathy for the girls that date these guys and then end up the same way that the other women. And like when I heard the song "Fourth Baby Mama" by Summer Walker, when I heard that song, I was like, and I really empathize. That's evil. Like, why would you do that to somebody? You know what I'm saying? Like, spend my whole pregnancy alone. I listened to that. I was like, man, niggas ain't shit.
So, but I get where you're going with that because it's like you're saying niggas ain't shit, but you're the fourth baby mama.
Yes.
So you have to be like,
and
okay,
he didn't trick you.
Right.
He wasn't Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
He was always London on the track. He like Future, Nick Cannon, London. Like these guys aren't playing. They're not, you know, beautiful in the beginning and then just terrible at the end. They've been shitty the entire time.
Right.
And so with those situations, like I don't like when that is categorized as like this is what black men are. Right.
But you were active participant.
Right. We got Lil Durk and we got Barack Obama. They are not the same people. They're both black. But so I don't like those categorizations. Yeah. It's not fair.
And I think too, I wanted to talk about that because we always focus on when the interracial dating like comes up, we always focus on like men and maybe it's self-hatred and blah, blah, blah. But I wanted to talk about women a little bit. And you talked about like Childish Gambino and Jordan Peele. And I feel like sometimes black women kind of categorize black men who don't fall under that stereotypical, you know, idea. If that makes sense. So like a guy like Childish Gambino, he dresses different. He sings different. He doesn't do like...
He's not conventional.
Right. He's not conventional. So a lot of black women will be like, oh, no, he weird. Like, no, he not.
Especially before he popped.
Right.
Once he get all the bread, it's kind of like, and he with a white woman at top of that. Why didn't you bring some of that in the black community?
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. But it's like, was you actually checking for the nigga?
Right. Exactly. No. We have to acknowledge, too, that we don't always check for these niggas. I wish
I knew the Childish Gambino dance. I would have started doing it.
Look, you can look this up. In 2012, this man was getting rejected. It was like 2012 Childish Gambino. Twitter in 2012 was nuts. And Childish Gambino
that
was
era, like 08 to like 12.
Absolutely crazy. And Childish Gambino, he was active. So it was like, he was not getting no love from black women, no matter how he... You know how many times he was like, "Hey, like never." I thought some of the stuff he was saying was kind of slick, but then he was just not flying. And I was like, for guys like this, what are they supposed to do? You know what I'm saying? I think it's dumb to say who somebody can't date in the first place. But if you had this expectation, then what? What about him?
Because it's like he could still like black women, but the black women are not liking him. Yeah. So it's like, well, this girl is Hispanic and she's showing me attention. I might as well, because the black girl not gonna like me because I'm weird or I act white or they think I'm gay or whatever it is. so that plays a factor in it too, and I think we overlook that. You know, I'll take accountability. Like I overlook that because I find myself like, oh no, I wouldn't date him. He a little, you know what I'm saying? Like I have to check myself too sometimes and be like, Nia, just because he does that doesn't mean that he's this way.
Now let me give you some like grace and compassion too, because it's okay for you to like what you like. Yeah, it's okay for a person to like what you like. But if the majority is all liking the same thing and y'all looking in that fishbowl like and then you got the Childish Gambinos who in their own fishbowl. This is America doing his thing. You get what I'm saying? And whoever coming to grab that from that bowl, then so be it. But yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with having a preference to a person who you like to coexist with. But at the same time, it's kind of like you just gotta hold yourself accountable. If you notice out of that pot, if you're not finding exactly what you're looking for, it's kind of like, what is it about these type of people that I'm attracted to that's working or not working? Right. And how you decide to respond after that.
Let me ask you this.
That's facts.
Where does preference come from?
Bias.
Preference comes from influence. Bias. In which you're influenced by. Like, for example, I've always been the type of dude who like chicks like the Eves with the tats, the Keisha Cole, you get what I'm saying? From like their childhood,
the around the way girl.
I've always enjoyed the around the way girl from like influence from the music I was listening to growing up, the movies I was watching. I could tell you exactly the type of like hairstyle that I loved from black women. It was like the micros when I was growing up. Yo, it was something about micros.
Micro braids?
Yeah, don't join this.
Man, not
don't
the
join,
micro.
don't join this to me growing up. All the chicks around the way had them. Right? So if I saw that, I'm kind because you know how a girl get her hair done, whatever. You see a nice little black girl with the micros growing up. I'm like, okay, with the baby hairs, with the baby hairs. I'm just saying. So with that, that was just my preference. But I think it's the same when it comes to the chicks. If they seeing who's being glamorized on TV,
right.
As far as these are the cool guys. When you go to high school, you got the cool guy table, then you got like the Yu-Gi-Oh table,
right.
or whatever they doing at different tables. Nobody's really checking for certain tables. Yeah. So I think that's where it comes from, childhood influence.
But like, I do want to say preference only is a result of bias. Like the only reason women like tall men is because they're biased against short men. The only reason men like fit women or thin women is because they're biased against heavy women. Like the reason we have preferences is because a bias exists. So if you have a preference for anybody's physical appearance, there's no way you're just looking at it objectively and you're like, you know, I just don't like that, because our brains don't work like that. Our brains don't work in like, I only like light-skinned women. Like that's not how it works. The reason you feel like that is because you have a bias against whatever's on the other side of that. Like this is the only way it exists.
It kind of goes into his point, the influence. When I was in middle school, it was about Ashanti, Keisha Cole, A. Marie, Beyonce. It was all light-skinned females. Like it was I mean, we had like India Ari, but nobody was like, oh my God, India Ari so bad.
Nobody was
it was like, oh yeah, sister. Yeah,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't like, oh, I'll get India RE. Like, it wasn't that. You know what I'm saying? So that influenced the bias or the preference of the black men that I was around. So when I was in high school, nobody checking for me like that, because you know I'm a chocolate girl. And in California, it was just like, hey, like the light skinned girls, that's what we want. We want
that's
the
what
weed.
you see in the rap. That's what you see in the rap videos
right.
too.
Exactly.
Fab always had a light skinned joint. Everybody always had the light skinned joint that they were trying to pursue in the videos.
Right, exactly. The main chick.
Now it's different.
It's different now, and I was going to bring that up because I was like, when I was younger, it was all about Chris Brown, and Trey Songz, and even Bow Wow, because Bow Wow was kind of light skinned back in the day. You know what I'm saying? He it's up for debate. Anyway, all these dudes was glorified. B5, all them, like it was all about light skin, and I remember having Chris Brown. I'm trying
to think if I ever wanted to be light skinned. No, keep going. My bad.
But anyway, now it's a shift. And it seems like more dark-skinned actors, rappers, whatever, are glorified. And then I even like see myself, like I'm always reposting like these dark-skinned actors. Like, but when I was younger, that wasn't what I was into.
Yeah.
And even what I date, like before I went to Hampton, well, I don't know if maybe subconsciously I was attracted more to lighter skinned guys because I, idolized Chris Brown. But after I went to Hampton, it's just like I like darker guys. I don't know. I don't know if that's because of the influence at my school or the media, whatever. But yeah, it does change. It does change, and I do feel like we're taking steps in the right direction as far as like glorifying all skin types.
Oh shit.
It's not as bad as it was, but there's still some hiccups. Like that podcast I saw. Right, like that podcast I saw, and he said, we don't date black women, we don't date night riders. And I said, what?
But see, if you notice, that's everybody that didn't grow up with today's influence. That's everybody. That's us. You know what I'm saying? That's like the homie. Like, oh, I don't date dark skinned girls. Like, you stupid. That's us. But the kids that are like 18, kids that are maybe 20, I don't know how long this ranges back, but they have a completely different mindset. I was talking to my little cousin. Mm-hmm. He's 17, and he was like, "Oh yeah, like I he was like, yeah, I got a girlfriend now, uncle." I was like, all right, send me a picture, and he sent me a picture of her. I was like, okay. It was like a just a little dark skinned girl. He's dark skinned too. I was like, okay, you guys are cute. And then he sent me another picture. He was like, and this was my girlfriend last year. It was like a Mexican girl. He was like, I like her too. And it was a white girl. And I was kind of looking at the Rubicon of, little girls that he had, and I'm like, yo, I mean, we still gonna have to have a conversation about why you interested in these women. You're supposed to be focusing on school, but it's good that it's changing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's shifting. It's not.
We have white, Mexican. Now we have black.
Yeah, it's not in a box, and that's good. You know what I'm saying? There's some other issues there.
Yeah,
but it's not in a box no more.
Right. That's good. That's good. And I think in closing, I want to talk about, okay, how do we move forward and stop having these conversations where we're bashing each other and just unify, come together? I mean, I know it may be hard, but I want to focus the conversation more about solutions.
So here's my take on it, right? I don't know if to call myself a realist or a Beanz is just going to say how he feels. Some people have monetized being corny, and they're okay with being corny for the rest of their lives until they die. And I think, like the dude saying, I don't think Knight Riders, they've found a lane to where they're being the opposite as far as like love, everything we got going on over here to be the opposite. Mm-hmm. Like some people just love being in that space. So I guess I don't even really want to focus on them, but I do want to say that some people are cool with being those weirdos. As a whole and as a collective, I think it's going to come from therapy, getting to know yourself, being okay in isolation. Because the more and more you get to know yourself, you're able to communicate when you are coexisting with someone else, your standards, your triggers, your different things like that, and how we can move forward. If people don't develop the strength to heal or to be complete with themselves and find a way to operate in wholeness with someone else, so it's two wholes, then I see it getting better, but that I think would be most ideal if everybody just sat with themselves. Like, regardless to what I learned prior to whatever age I'm at, if I'm 40, 37, 22, 19, what do I need to unlearn and what will help traject me into the direction that I'm ideally trying to go? But like I said, the weirdos going to be their weirdos. They're cool with being weirdos, especially if there's a check attached to it. If every time I say that I hate black women, I get $10,000, it's niggas who going to say whatever. Right. Did I also mention I don't like them because of this too? Did I also mention they going to tiptoe in that and whatever? Not worrying about them niggas. I'm just saying that's how I feel like we can move forward. Start with yourself, accountability, regardless of whatever your parents taught you or different things like that. What makes sense? Because they're only repeating things that they've been taught. So, okay, that's where grace and compassion comes in that. What makes sense for me right now moving forward? How am I going to operate and how am I going to teach the youth to come, whether that's kids, nieces, nephews? How can I show them a more solid lane that I probably wasn't given when I was younger?
Right.
I agree. Cloud chasing is that's the real pandemic.
Right.
Yes.
You know what I'm
talk about it.
Honestly, like people I think thrive off being inflammatory. Like especially because I know how it works. Like you get engagement, you get money because comments turn into views turn into shares turn into revenue because there's more eyes on your content. So being inflammatory, that's how you get that money. You know what I'm saying? Look at Tekashi 6ix9ine. Like, what a great example of how being inflammatory can get you money. But I don't think this conversation is ever going to go away. I don't think these topics, black women are terrible. Because on one hand, there's the content that is continuously produced and gets them paid, so they're not going to stop making it. And then also, to be real, a lot of us, we like it a little bit. But, we like the contention. We like the back and forth. We like the drama a little bit. It does get to a point to where it goes too far. I've seen probably, I've seen some crazy podcasts. And then I've also seen people just having real conversations that have actually benefit from the, that's colorism? Like, that's what body shaming is? That's what these things are? So, I mean, I don't think it's ever going to go away, but I think if you want to get something from it, there's an opportunity to listen to the other side, hear another perspective.
Yeah. And the content thing, that's one of the things that I wanted to say, as far as the solutions, just because this is getting blown up, that doesn't mean this is how all black men think.
Of course.
Right.
But that's what's getting the attention. They're not showing, the Chef Beanz that's showing, I love all my black queens and I love every shade. They're not showing that. They're showing, I don't want to date the Night Rider. I don't date Boquisha.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So as I'll speak to the women, like, just because that is glorified, that doesn't represent black men as a whole. So we have to recognize that. And also, we have to stop making assumptions about the opposite sex, period. You know what I'm saying? Like Beanz was saying, like, you got to learn about yourself, heal from the things that you've been through, and then just come into a situation just open, and learning, instead of making assumptions like, oh, he's this way, so that means he's this. Like, we both got to stop it on both sides, because it can prevent us from being happy, from having a successful relationship, if we let those preconceived notions cloud our judgment. And then, we're miserable and alone. But it's like, you could have been happy with the weird Childish Gambino nigga, but you was two in your head. You was two in your head, girl. Like, you have to take a step back and be mindful of those assumptions that you're making, because it can be harmful. Can be harmful. So on both sides, we got to be more accountable for ourselves, instead of focusing on what the other person can do to make me happy. Well, what can you do?
Talk heavy.
What can you do to make yourself happy?
I want to ask, do you guys realize how small of a, like, all right, take somebody like me, right? Like, I like black women, so I want to marry a black woman. Mm-hmm. Instantly cuts my my choices to what, like 7% of the country, something like that.
Okay.
If I want to stay within the country, you could do, like, I don't know, internet dating. But let's say you want to stay in America. Mm-hmm. Let's say you want to stay in your state. You know what I'm saying? Out of maybe, I think there's 22 million people in California. Let's say, I don't know, let's say 5 million are women. 5 million are black women, right? Of that 5 million, now you cut down your pool, because you obviously want somebody that you're attracted to. So let's take 3 million off the top, and then you want, like, a woman that's doing well for herself. You know what I'm saying? She on her grind. So let's take another 1 million off the top, and from what you left with the bare bones minimum is this very small group of people. And I think men and women kind of have this idea, like, nah, I can do better. And then we kind of repeat this side. Well, at least I can speak from my friends.
We think we have more options than what we really do.
Fact. And we get the same option every time. Like, you think you can do better, bro. This is your third duck. Right. Maybe you need to just stay here. Like, maybe you need to find happiness where it's at, rather than, like, make happiness for yourself, rather than try to find it in other people.
Yeah, definitely. Man, this was a great conversation. Oh my gosh. Like, I really could go on and on and on and on and on, but I'm glad that I had this conversation, because this is the point of this podcast. Help me understand, educate me, so that I'm not making assumptions when I'm dealing with so-and-so, when I'm dealing with so-and-so. And now it's just like, it's so much growth in this conversation, hearing different perspectives that we could take into our lives, and even, educate other people. But I hope everybody who's listening is just understanding, like, a lot of stuff is rooted in trauma and tradition, but we do have the capability to unlearn those things and become more of a unit. I mean, you might be right. It might always be there, but I'm gonna be hopeful and say, "Oh yeah, we're gonna be like kumbaya one day."
That's beautiful.
That's just my hope. My hope. But thank you for coming today.
Thank you again.
Yeah, this was a great conversation, and I just love this picture too.
I do not love that picture.
That is gonna be wow.
Hey, I really appreciate the conversation. And I really think we all just benefit from a little empathy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, look at the situation from somebody else's shoes.
Right.
Maybe that'll help us in relationships and just everything. Not even romantic, just interpersonal.
Right. Yeah. Do you have anything going on right now that you want to shout out? Or
I absolutely do.
Okay. Talk about it. Let us know. Where can they find you? Yeah, let us know.
Yes, you can find me on Instagram at Lawrence0295. You can find me on YouTube under Larry Chats. I have a nonprofit called Black Organizers United. I'm the co-president and also co-founder. And basically, we do nonpartisan political education. We teach people, how to vote, the importance of vote, what local elections look like, who your, district representatives are, who your state representatives are. And we just do education. We don't tell nobody who to vote for, nothing like that. It's just completely nonpartisan political education. So follow us, Black Organizers United, on every platform. We are BOU. You can find us there. And also, if you go to my Instagram, you can find us there too. So, shameless plug on all of my little projects.
All right, Beanz, you got anything that you want to talk about?
So, as you all know, Chef Beanz, chill guy. Transparency to Play will be in Jersey next. My birthday is June 3rd, so I plan on bringing it to my hometown, Camden, New Jersey, that day.
Nationwide, baby.
Yeah, absolutely. And then another date on like that Saturday or Sunday. On top of that, what I have going on is, like I was saying earlier, just being calm and understanding of things free flowing. I spoke about it at the play. I'm in a place where I constantly tell myself, how are you going to respond when you get exactly what you pray for? So it's not like I'm hustling less. It's not that my work ethic has decreased. It's just more so, maybe this is what people were talking about when they said reaping the fruits of your labor.
Yeah,
right.
I'm just like in that place. And as you continue to grow and elevate, the problems or the hurdles don't disappear. Yeah. It's just you find the strength to just hop higher over these hurdles or rushing through them. So I would say, in closing, with everything we was talking about, continue to develop a healthy relationship with yourself, with the people around you. Maybe lead with, in my experience, when it comes to you talking about different things, and finding ways to what's going to set you up for success and what patterns can you eliminate to help really traject you into whatever stratosphere that you're trying to get into.
It's facts.
That was off the top.
Yeah,
there's no script.
He a genius over here, so he just be spitting.
But that's how I feel in my experience. Lead with that and watch what that does for you.
Right. Yeah. I completely agree with everything you just said. So I'm not even gonna go into detail. I am gonna shout out my new business, Kid Onyx.
Yes.
And the Kings and Queens Emotions cards. We're doing pretty good. I mean, it is a lot of work, but I like it.
Yes.
I like it because it's my idea, it's my brand.
Your baby.
And yes, I did trademark it, so y'all better not try to steal it. All right. But the feedback that I've been getting, like, it's just beautiful. Like, I posted a video this past Friday, and just seeing a little black boy learning about emotions with his black father, like, that's just like, what? Like, that would be never. That's something I never saw growing up.
Yeah.
Like, oh, let's sit down and learn these emotions, son. Right. What? Like that? It's just. It's amazing, and like I almost cried the first time I looked at that video because it's like that's the idea that I had in my head on why I want to do this.
Right.
Yeah.
And to see it happen, like I don't care if it's just one child that gets changed because of my cards. Like that's enough. Because that was the vision. That's what I had. And I hope that it reaches, more black children and get them talking and being able to manage their emotions at a young age so that they're not, labeled, oh, they have ADHD or they have this, they have that. No, they don't. Just nobody taught them how to say what's on their mind.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? If they have the education early on, all that stuff, can be avoided. But I'm happy that Kid Onyx is doing well, and then obviously I got What's Good With You. Follow us. Follow Kid Onyx too, _ Kid Onyx, and follow us on Instagram, _ What's Good With You, and YouTube. I'm gonna start putting more effort into the YouTube because YouTube is really like
gonna run them checks.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I gotta put more into that. But yeah, the YouTube videos, we gonna put more effort into that. We gonna cook up something real good. But yeah, that's it. That's the episode, and we'll see you guys next time.
Peace, love, and chicken grease.